Hey folks, I'm Mike, and today I want to tell you what the best props are for your buck. Listen up. Hey, listen, I get it. Not everybody is into frugal FPV. I myself consider it to be important to be responsible with my money. A lot of that has to do with the fact that I got 3 kids, I got a house, I've got a wife, my kids need to go to college, etc., etc. So, if you're into frugal FPV, this video is for you. If you're not, this video is still for you because, quite frankly, there's some good information here. Now, don't forget to like and subscribe and to comment, and I would even love it if you hit that notification bell. Let's get into it. Everybody knows that props are the #1 consumable in FPV. Unless you land perfectly, a lot of times, every flight, you're gonna be changing your props. And even as you get better and you learn how to land better, because everybody here knows it, those first landings are hard. It took me a long time to figure out how to land upright. But even if you land perfectly every time, you're often, as your skill level increases, you often end up in a situation where you push harder. And so you end up crashing still more. And with every crash comes a new set of props. So props are hands down the #1 thing that we go through as FPVers. The DAL Cyclone 5040C and 5040C are known as some really good props. They are both durable and they have good performance characteristics. But did you know that they are also some of the least expensive props on the market? That is pretty freaking awesome. Some props cost up to $3.99 or even more per set, but typically the DAL 5040Cs and the 5040Cs cost about $2.99 per set. That is a huge saving, especially when you start expecting that you're gonna fly 100+ sets per year. This is the DAL Cyclone 5040C. It was made in response to the HQ 5x4x3, which was pretty much the gold standard for freestyle FPV for quite a long time. The problem with that prop is that it was not very durable. The plastics they had to make it in lent it to be very hard to fly after a crash. This, on the other hand, is a DAL prop, and so the plastic is very rigid, very good, and holds up to a lot of beating. Now you can see here that the pitch on the blade is a 40-degree pitch down here in the scoop. Now what you need to know about these props is that this part of the blade is more active during the low end of the throttle, whereas this part of the blade is more reactive during the high end of the throttle. So you have a lot of scoop down here in the low end, which is what you really want for pulling out of hard maneuvers. Whereas up here, you're going to get more power efficiency, and it's going to fly really well in the high end with as minimal turbulence as possible. Now, when these props fail, they typically fail somewhere around the hub. This has been pretty consistent for me throughout my use of the 5040s. You can see right here. Now this was a pretty hard crash, I'm not gonna lie, but this bending here towards the hub is pretty characteristic of what you see when you have some kind of catastrophic event. I have flown this prop and come away with no blades whatsoever and just the hub left over. And that is a truly frustrating thing to deal with, because then you've got to try to get just the hub off of the motor, and it can get a little dicey. Now this is DAL plastic, and so you can actually bend it and kind of bend it back into shape. This obviously would not give you a smooth flight, but in a pinch you could fly this prop again. But that DAL plastic is really durable, very rebendable, and one of the reasons that these props are so good. This is the DAL Cyclone 5040C. What you can see right here is that it actually has a higher pitch than in this portion of the blade than the 5040. So here's a 5040 for comparison. And what you can see is that there is a higher pitch right here than there is right here. And there's actually higher pitch throughout the blade as well. Just like with the 5046 or 5040, you've got that same DAL shape. You've got that same DAL look, which is the tapered blade, the little nub right down here. Now, if you look at these, you'll notice that these are actually used props. This is a used prop that I flew quite a bit, and these props are so good that a lot of times I'll take them off, and if they're not in terrible shape, I'll put them back into the bag. If you look right here, you can kind of see that it took a bit of a beating on the edge right in this area. I probably clipped some kind of branch or something. But this one here, this blade's in a little bit better shape. These things are, I mean, they're great. They're virtually indestructible. When the 5046 fails, it tends to fail mid blade right here. So as opposed to the 5040, which tends to shear off at the hub, the 5046 tends to bend up right about here. And what you can do is just bend it back into shape. Now, that extra pitch that you get out of the 5046 means that you get more power. That power is pretty consistent throughout the entirety of the throttle curve. You end up with a lot of power in the low end, and you end up with quite a bit of power in the high end. The downside to that is that you end up with, unfortunately, less efficient use of your battery. So if you want to fly for a really long time, use the DAL 5040s. They have less pitch and therefore require less energy. If you want to really crush a pack and do some very aggressive flying, then the 5046 is the prop for you. So what's the final verdict here? The final verdict is that the DAL 5040C and the DAL 5046C are great props. They have great performance characteristics, and even if they were not inexpensive, they are still a go-to prop for many, many flyers. At $2.99 a pack, a set, they are some of the cheapest out there. A lot of props, like the HQ props, cost as much as $3.99 per set. Now, you think to yourself, oh, that's just $1. But when you start thinking about the fact that you may go through 100 sets in a year, you can start to see that, hey, that makes a big difference. That becomes $2.99 versus $3.99 a year, $299 versus $399 a year. Just by choosing the DAL, if you fly only 100 sets per year, you have saved yourself $100. And that is not an insubstantial amount. That is almost a third, say, of another drone. So the DALs are great at flight. They have long legs in terms of durability, and they are economically inexpensive. That makes them, in my book, the best props that you can fly on a budget. Thanks, and I hope that y'all have a great day. By the way, as I said before, don't forget to like, to subscribe, and to comment. And I would really appreciate it if you hit that bell as well, because I love doing these videos, but it helps me to know that you guys are out there. I'll talk to you later. Bye.